The Kingdom of My Divine Will in the Midst of Creatures, Book of Heaven, Volume 33, Part 2. December 18th, 1933. How the creature was formed by God, ab eterno, loved with eternal love. There's a footnote here in regards to the words ab eterno, which means from eternity. Beginning with the title again. How the creature was formed by God, ab eterno, from eternity, loved with eternal love. How the human will is the upsetting of the works of her Creator. My poor mind continues to cross the infinite sea of the Fiat, and as much as one goes on, it never ends. In this sea, the soul feels her God, who fills her completely, up to the brim, with His divine being, in such a way that she can say, God has given me all of Himself, and if it is not given to me to enclose His immensity within myself, it is because I am little. Now, in this sea, one can find, in act, the order, the harmony, the arcane mysteries of how God created man. And the prodigies are unheard of. The love is exuberant. The mastery is insuperable. There is such mystery in it that neither man himself nor sciences can retell with clarity on the formation of man. So I remained surprised at the magnificences and prerogatives that the human nature possesses. And my beloved Jesus, in seeing me so surprised, told me, "My blessed daughter, your marvel will cease if, looking carefully into this sea of my will, you will see where, who, how, and when each creature was formed." So, where? In the eternal womb of God. Who? God Himself gave him origin. How? The Supreme Being Himself formed the series of His thoughts, the number of His words, the order of His works, the motion of His steps, and the continuous beating of His heart. So God gave him such beauty, order, and harmony as to be able to find Himself in the creature, with such fullness that He would not find any space to put anything of His own, which had not been placed in Him by God. In looking at Him, we remained enraptured in seeing that in the little human circle our power had enclosed our divine operating, and in our emphasis of love we said to Him, "How beautiful you are, work of ours! You are, and you will be, our glory, the expression of our love, the reflection of our wisdom, the echo of our power, the bearer of our eternal love." And we loved Him with eternal love, without beginning and without end. And when was this creature formed by us? Ab eterno. Therefore, he did not exist in time, but in eternity he has always existed. He had his place in us, his palpitating life, the love of his Creator. So the creature has always been our ideal for us, the little space in which to carry out our creative work, the shelf for our life to lean on, the outpouring of our eternal love. This is why, then, so many human things cannot be comprehended, cannot be explained, because there is the operating of the incomprehensible divine. There are our mysterious celestial arcanes, our divine fibers, such that we alone know our divine secrets, the keys we need to touch when we want to do new and unusual things in the creatures. There is a footnote here regarding the word arcanes. Arcanes meaning mysteries. I'll begin again at the beginning of this sentence. This is why, then, so many human things cannot be comprehended, cannot be explained, because there is the operating of the incomprehensible divine. There are our mysterious celestial arcanes, mysteries, our divine fibers, such that we alone know our divine secrets, the keys we need to touch when we want to do new and unusual things in the creature. And since they do not know our secrets, nor can they comprehend our incomprehensible ways which we have placed in the human nature, they reach the point of judging according to their ways, and cannot make head nor tail of what we operate in the creature, while they should rather bow their foreheads before that which they do not comprehend. Now, one who does not possess our will puts our acts, ordered ab eterno in the creature, in disorder. Therefore he disfigures himself and forms the void of our divine acts, formed and ordered by us in the human creature. We loved ourselves in her, the series of our acts formed by our pure love, and by putting her out in time, we wanted her as concurring to what we had done. But in order for the creature to have this ability, our will was needed, which, giving her its divine virtue, would make her do in time that which had been done by us without her in eternity. Nor would there be any wonder that the divine being had formed her in eternity. The same divine volition would confirm and repeat it in time, that is, would continue its creative work in the creature. But without my divine will, how can she ever elevate, conform, unify herself to, and resemble those same acts which we, with so much love, have formed and ordered in her? Hence, the human will does nothing other than upset our most beautiful works, break our love, empty our works, which remain within us, because we lose nothing of what we have done. All the evil remains for the poor creature, because she feels the abyss of the divine void. Her works are without strength and without light, Her steps are vacillating, her mind confused. So she remains without my will, like a food without substance, like a body that is paralyzed, like a field without cultivation, like a tree without fruit, like a flower that sends out a bad odor. Oh, if our divinity were subject to tears, we would cry bitterly over she who does not let herself be dominated by our will. Fiat. January 2nd, 1934. When the soul does the divine will, God can freely do what he wants to do in her and operate the greatest things, because he finds the capacity, the space, for what he wants to give to the creature. Though my little soul swims in the sea of the divine will, I still feel the piercing nail of the privation of my sweet Jesus. My God, what a harrowing pain! What a torture is my painful existence! Oh, how I would like to shed rivers of tears! If it were possible, I would like to transform the very immensity of the divine will into bitter crying, to move my sweet Jesus to pity, who flies away from me, but without even telling me the place of his dwelling, or showing me the way, the mark of his steps, that I may be able to reach him. My God, my Jesus, how can you not be moved to compassion for this little exiled one, tormented only for you, and because of you? But while raving from his privation, I was thinking to myself about the divine will, and I feared that its dominion, its life, might not be present in me. And because of this, my eternal love, Jesus, leaves me, hides, and does not care about me. And from the heart, I was asking for his forgiveness. And my beloved Jesus, after much struggling of mine, having compassion on me, for I could bear no more, came back for just a little, and looking at me with love, all goodness, told me, "My little daughter of my will, it shows how you are little, and it is enough for me to make a little pause, that you get lost, you fear, you doubt, you oppress yourself. But do you know where you get lost? In my will. And I, seeing you in it, do not hasten my coming, because I know that you are in a safe place. Now, you must know that when a soul does my divine will, I can freely do whatever I want in the soul, and operate the greatest things. My will empties her for me of everything, and forms the space in which I can put the sanctity of an infinite act of mine, and the soul places herself at our disposal. Our will has matured her, and has rendered her adaptable and fit for receiving the creative and operative virtue of our Supreme Being. On the other hand, when one does not do our divine will, we have to adapt ourselves, restrict ourselves, nor can we be generous according to our divine manner. We have to give our graces sip by sip, while we can give rivers. Oh, how heavy it is for us to operate in one who does not possess our will. If we want to make ourselves known, she is incapable, because the human intelligence without our will is like a foggy sky, which, obscuring the beautiful light of reason, is as though blind before the light of our knowledges. So it may be there in the midst of the light, but incapable of comprehending anything. It will always be illiterate before the light of our truths. If we want to give our sanctity, beauty, and love, we have to give them in small doses, as though broken into small pieces, because the human will is cluttered with miseries, with weaknesses and defects. Therefore, it becomes incapable and also unworthy to receive our gifts and what we want to give her. Poor human volition! Without our will, it cannot adapt itself to receiving the virtue of our creative works, the strong embraces of its Creator, our loving stratagems, the wounds of our love. And many times it tires our divine patience and forces us not to give it anything. And if our love forces us to give something, it is for it like a food that it cannot digest, because not being united with our will, it lacks the strength and the digestive virtue to digest what belongs to us. Therefore it shows immediately when our will is not present in the soul. True good is not for her. Before the light of my truths, she goes blind and becomes more stupid. Nor does she love to know them. On the contrary, she looks at them as if they did not belong to her. The complete opposite for one who does and lives in my will. Fiat. January 14th, 1934. Sweet enchantment on both sides, God and the creature. How she acquires the power to make the divine will her own. Pains smile before the glory, the triumphs, the conquests. Jesus, hidden by the pains. I am under the reign of the divine fiat, which bathing me completely inside and out, and penetrating even into the marrow of my bones, makes the whole of my poor being say, Fiat, Fiat, Fiat. I feel I am in its arms, and as I call it with my incessant plea for it to form its life in my acts, its heartbeat in my heart, its breath in mine, its thought in my mind, so is a flash of light unleashed from me, and it would want to, as though bind the holy divine volition, to make it completely my own, so that it may be in my power to form its life in me, all of divine will. So I felt concerned about this way of acting of mine. And my highest good, Jesus, repeating his short little visit, all goodness, told me, My little daughter of my will, you must know that as the creature invokes, calls my fiat, imploring its life to be formed within hers, so does she unleash light, and forms an enchantment to God, which enraptures his divine pupil, which, enraptured, looks at the creature, and forms in her the requital of its sweet enchantment, and the void in the act of the creature. to be able to give and enclose in her act the divine will. And while it forms and carries out its life, the happy creature acquires the power to make it her own. And because it is her own, she loves it powerfully, more than her own life. My daughter, as long as my will is not held as one's own life, exclusively one's own, which no one can take away from her, even though she knows that it is a gift received from God, and, though something received, she is already fortunate and victorious to have the possession of it, she will never be able to love my divine will as befits it, nor feel the need of its life. Nor shall my will be able to carry out fully, with all freedom, its divine life in the creature. Therefore, your calling it disposes you. As you make it your own, it will make itself known, and you will feel the great good of possessing its life, and you will love it as it deserves to be loved, and you will be jealous to keep it, with such attention as to lose not even one breath of it. Then, as I was a little more in suffering than usual, I was thinking to myself, oh, how I would love for my pains to form for me the wings to let me fly to my celestial fatherland. And instead of afflicting me, my little pains were making feast to me. I felt concerned about it, and my beloved Jesus added, my daughter, do not be surprised. In the face of glory, the pains smile. They feel triumphant in seeing the conquests they have acquired. The pains confirm and establish the glory, more or less great, in the creature. And according to the pains, so does she feel, being painted within her, the most beautiful and various tints of beauty, and in seeing themselves being transformed into the rarest beauty, they make feast. So, on earth, the pains cry. At the doors of heaven begins their eternal smile that will never end. On earth, the pains are bearers of humiliation. At the eternal gates, they are bearers of glory. On earth, they render the poor creature unhappy. But by the miraculous secret that they possess, they work deep inside her inmost fibers and in the whole of the human being, the eternal kingdom, in such a way that each pain takes on its own distinct office. One acts as chisel, another as hammer, another as file, another as brush, another as color. And only when each pain has fulfilled its work, then do they leave the creature entrusted to them, and they lead her, triumphant, up to heaven. And only when they see each pain changed into a distinct joy and perennial happiness, then do they let her go. However, only if the creature receives them with love, and feels and receives in each pain the kiss, the embraces, the tight squeezes of my divine will, then do the pains possess this miraculous virtue. Otherwise, they become as if they had no instruments apt to fulfilling their work. But do you want to know who the pain is? The pain is I, who hide inside of it, to form the arcane works for my celestial fatherland. And I requite at usury the brief dwelling that they have given me on earth. There is a footnote here with regard to the word usury. When Jesus requites at usury, it means with unimaginable, disproportionate abundance. So we'll begin at the beginning of the paragraph. But do you want to know who the pain is? The pain is I, who hide inside of it to form the arcane works for my celestial fatherland, and I requite at usury, with unimaginable disproportionate abundance, the brief dwelling that they have given me on earth. I have imprisoned myself in the small prison of the creature, in order to continue my life of pains down here. It is just for this life of mine to receive its joys, its happinesses, its exchange of glory in the celestial region. Therefore, let your surprise cease in hearing that your pains smile before the victories, the triumphs, and the conquests. Fiat. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 33, Part 2. Fiat.